Hola clase, buenos días. Feliz jueves. Hoy es el 17 de septiembre de 2020 y hoy vamos a aprender el vocabulario de capítulo 5, escuchar el capítulo 5 de la novela y escribir un resumen en español del capítulo. So, all about chapter 5 today. We're going to learn the vocab, listen to the chapter, as well as answer comprehension questions in English like we have been, and write a summary in Spanish of the chapter. Just a reminder that every day when we're doing our novel, you need to have your notebook set up like so with your vocab, then your comprehension questions answered in English, and then your Spanish summary. Okay, capítulo 5, make sure that you escribe en tu cuaderno. You need to be writing these in your notebook. First, we have some prepositions. Detrás de means behind. And detrás can also mean behind without the de, but the de has to be there if we are following it with something else, like behind the desk, detrás del pupitre. Verbs, prefiere, hopefully you saw this in first year. He or she prefers. Respetan, this has an N, referring to they. It can also refer to you all, that they respect. And then we've got some verb phrases or expressions. First one, tienen miedo. Tiene miedo without the N means he or she is scared, so with the N means they are scared, or literally it translates to they have fear. And a cognate here, it looks like what it means, está frustrado, he or she is frustrated. If you need to pause to finish copying these down, be sure to do so. Make sure you have them in Spanish and in English. And we're going to be listening for these words and phrases in our chapter here in a moment. But first, we need to know what questions we are trying to answer in English as we are listening. So, número uno, what does Felipe think is the reason Raquel did not escape with Antonio? Dos, what problem suddenly occurs that alarms Felipe? Tres, why is Antonio so frustrated with Felipe? Cuatro, why don't Antonio's men prepare the cannon? Cinco, what does Antonio think about the English pirates? And what do his men think about the English pirates? So, remember Antonio and his men are Spanish. They're Spaniards. So the English are the pirates. All right, capítulo 5, el Perla Blanca. Aquí tenemos el Perla Blanca. That is the name of the pirate ship, the White Pearl. Y tenemos aquí el barco de Antonio. Y aquí tenemos Antonio y Raquel. Okay, so as we are listening to the chapter, you can look at the pictures to help, but you want to be listening for these vocab words that we just wrote to help you and thinking about answering these questions in English. The first thing we're listening for is what does Felipe think is the reason Raquel did not escape with Antonio? Capítulo 5, El Perla Blanca, in El Barco de Henry Morgan. Or we're in El Barco de Antonio, but just a reminder, El Perla Blanca is El Barco de Henry Morgan. Estamos en el sur de Cuba, in the south of Cuba. El barco de Antonio va toward la costa sur de Cuba. Va en dirección a la isla secreta. Antonio piensa mucho en Raquel. Recuerden, Raquel no está en el barco. So, Antonio thinks about Raquel. She is not on the boat. She stays in Cuba. No comprende, Antonio no comprende por qué ella lo abandonó. Le dice a Felipe. Antonio le dice a Felipe, soy un hombre atractivo e inteligente. Soy rico y romántico. ¿Por qué me abandonó Raquel? Felipe le responde, no tengo idea. Probablemente prefiere a Cuba. Y Antonio le responde, imposible. Raquel me adora. Y Felipe dice, las intenciones de las mujeres. Las mujeres son difíciles. ¿Quién comprende a las mujeres? So again, we're looking for or listening for what does Felipe think is the reason Raquel did not escape with Antonio. So if you need to scroll back and listen again, feel free. Now, what problem suddenly occurs that alarms Felipe? Antonio no quiere pensar en Raquel. Felipe y Antonio estudian mucho el mapa de la isla. Felipe pilota el barco por la ruta a la isla. El barco está al sur de Cuba cuando Felipe grita: ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Hay un problema! Y Antonio le pregunta: ¿qué problema? Felipe dice: nosotros tenemos un problema grande. Molesto con Felipe, Antonio le pregunta otra vez: ¿qué problema tenemos? Felipe le dice: pues realmente no es nuestro problema, es tu problema. Tú eres el capitán del barco y por eso es tu problema. Antonio, tú tienes un problema. Y Antonio está muy frustrado y le grita a Felipe: ¿qué problema tengo? Felipe le dice por fin: hay un barco de piratas detrás del barco. ¡Mira! Y Antonio le dice: ¡ay caramba! Tenemos un problema. ¡Preparan los cañones! Let's go back to those questions. Okay, so what problem suddenly occurs that alarms Felipe? Why is he saying, tenemos un problema? What was el problema? And then why is Antonio so frustrated with Felipe? All right, next one. Why don't Antonio's men prepare the cannons? And again, guys, if you need to scroll back and listen again to help find your answers, that's fine. But why don't Antonio's men prepare the cannons is coming next. So Antonio just said, preparen los cañones. Felipe le responde, ¿nosotros tenemos que preparar los cañones? Antonio está frustrado con Felipe porque no reacciona rápidamente. Tiene muchas preguntas. So that also could be an answer for why he was frustrated with him, why Antonio was frustrated with Felipe. Antonio le grita, ¡prepara los cañones! ¡Rápido! Felipe corre y les grita a los hombres, ¡alerta! ¡Preparen los cañones! ¡Preparen el barco! ¡Hay un barco de piratas! ¿Un barco de piratas? Preguntan los hombres. Sí, un barco de piratas. Tenemos un problema grande. ¡Ya! ¡Preparen los cañones! Los hombres no preparan los cañones. Es obvio que ellos tienen miedo. No quieren atacar a los piratas. So again, why don't they prepare the cannons? Scroll back if you need to listen again. Now, what does Antonio think about the English pirates? Es el barco del pirata inglés Henry Morgan. Un hombre exclama, Henry Morgan es el pirata más cruel de todos los piratas en el Caribe. Tortura a sus prisioneros. Antonio les responde, cálmense. Hoy los piratas van a comprender que el Caribe es el territorio de España. ¡Preparen los cañones! Los hombres no se mueven. Solo miran a Antonio. No preparan los cañones. Antonio está furioso y grita. So again, we're listening to what does Antonio think about the English pirates. Los ingleses, los piratas ingleses, no respetan a los españoles. Hoy van a respetarnos. Ahora, preparen los cañones. So again, what does he think about the English pirates? And then, the last thing we're listening for is what do the men think about the English pirates? Un hombre le responde, Capitán, los piratas son muy crueles y muy talentosos. Ellos representan un problema para nosotros. Antonio le responde, nosotros somos muy talentosos también. Somos superiores. Ahora vamos a presentarles a los piratas un problema grande. ¡Preparen los cañones! Pero capitán, cállate. Esta conversación es absurda. Vamos a defender mi barco. Okay, so again, make sure you have answered all of these questions. If you need to scroll back and listen again, feel free. What does Felipe think is the reason Raquel did not escape with Antonio? What problem suddenly occurs that alarms Felipe? Why is Antonio so frustrated with Felipe? And why don't Antonio's men prepare the cannons? What does Antonio think about the English pirates? And what do his men think about the English pirates? Okay, so you're answering all these in English. New notebook. And last, freshmen are here today, so we have some bells going on. As you listen to the story, look at the pictures provided and think about what happens in the chapter. Listen carefully for the vocab words and how they fit into the story. Take a few notes about what you think I'm describing that's happening. Then finish the starter sentences that I provided for you. Be sure to finish the ideas in Spanish. Be sure to incorporate vocab when you are able to. And at the end, you should be able to understand what you wrote, and you should have been able to use each vocab word or phrase from the list at least one time. So just like yesterday, you're going to write these sentence starters out, and this is for capítulo 5. And then you're going to finish each of the sentence starters, and I'll kind of remind you of how it was used in the story. All right, starting for capítulo 5. En su barco, Antonio piensa mucho en Raquel. No comprende por qué ella lo abandonó. So on his boat, Antonio's thinking about Rachel a lot. He doesn't understand why she abandoned him. So first sentence you're going to finish. Felipe piensa que Raquel prefiere... Okay, what's Felipe think that Raquel prefers? And I'll go back and read you a little section about that. Antonio le dice a Felipe, soy un hombre atractivo e inteligente. Soy rico y romántico. ¿Por qué me abandonó Raquel? Y Felipe le dice, no tengo idea. Probablemente prefiere a Cuba. So, based on what Felipe just said, how would you finish the sentence in Spanish? It could be one word, two words, a short phrase, whatever works. Pause if you need to. Moving on. De repente, suddenly, Felipe grita. ¿Por qué? So why does he yell suddenly? And here's where in the book where they talk about this. El barco está al sur de Cuba, at the south of Cuba, cuando Felipe grita, ¡Alerta! ¡Alerta! ¡Hay un problema! Antonio le pregunta, ¿qué problema? And then later, after some more conversation, Felipe le responde, hay un barco de piratas detrás del barco. Mira! So how would you finish that sentence in Spanish? Again, pause if you need to. And then the next one, Antonio está frustrado con Felipe porque... So why is he frustrated with him? Antonio está frustrado con Felipe porque no reacciona rápidamente y tiene muchas preguntas. So how would you finish that sentence? Two more. Y los hombres españoles no blank. So the Spanish men don't do this because... Why? There's something they don't do, and tell me why. And here's where they mention it in the book. Los hombres españoles no preparan los cañones. Es obvio que tienen miedo. So, again, tienen miedo, that's one of our new vocab phrases. Pause if you need to. Last sentence, Antonio piensa que los piratas no. And in the book it says, los piratas ingleses no respetan a los españoles. So what do you think the pirates don't do? All right, so if you need to go back and listen, again, feel free. And then make sure that you have completed for both chapters 4 and then chapter 5 today. Your notebook page set up like so. You're not turning it in today, hold on to it. And we're going to do the same thing tomorrow for chapter 6, but you're going to have a little acting scene by some of our Spanish teachers tomorrow for the action. So as always, let me know if you need anything. Escríbeme un correo y buena suerte.